All right. So in chapter 23, what did we have going on? Oh, chapter 23 was when they noticed that Winn-Dixie went missing, right? Absolutely. So the Dewberry Boys showed up, right? And they decided that the preacher and Opal were going to go out and look for Winn-Dixie, right? But it was raining and there was a storm. And Opal was really, really nervous. So they took the whole party inside, but Opal and the preacher decided to go out and look for Winn-Dixie. And the Dewberry Boys stood on the porch with Gloria Dump and watched as they went off to try to find Winn-Dixie. So now we're on chapter 24. You ready? All set? Here we go. Me and the preacher started walking and calling Winn-Dixie's name. I was glad it was raining so hard because it made it easy to cry. I cried and cried and cried, and the whole time I was calling for Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie, I screamed. Winn-Dixie, the preacher shouted, and then he whistled loud and long, but Winn-Dixie didn't show up. We walked all through downtown. We walked past the Dewberry's house and Herman W. Block Memorial Library, and Sweetie Pie's yellow house and Gertrude's Pets. We walked out to the friendly corners. Ooh, Mika. Hi, Mika. Hi, we just started reading chapter 24. You want to join us? Yeah? Okay, we're going to keep reading, okay?
Okay.
Do you have a copy of the book?
No.
Okay, just listen along with us, okay then, Lovey?
Okay.
Okay. We walked out to the Friendly Corners trailer park and looked underneath our trailer. We walked all the way out to the Open Arms Baptist Church of Naomi. We walked past the railroad tracks and right on down Highway 50. Cars were rushing past us and their tail lights glowed red like mean eyes staring at us. Daddy, I said, Daddy, what if he got run over? Opal, the preacher said, we can't worry about what might have happened. All we can do is keep looking. We walked, and in my head, I started on a list of 10 things that I knew about Winn-Dixie. Things I could write on big old posters and put up around the neighborhood. Things that would help people look for him. Number 1 was that he had a pathological fear of thunderstorms. Number 2 was he liked to smile using all his teeth. Number 3 was he could run fast. Number 4 was that he snored. Number 5 was that he could catch mice without squishing them to death. Number 6 was he liked to meet people. Number 7 was he liked to eat peanut butter. Number 8 was he couldn't stand to be left alone. Number 9 was he liked to sit on couches and sleep in beds. Number 10 was he didn't mind going to church. I kept on going over and over the list in my head. I memorized it the same way I had memorized the list of 10 things about my mama. I memorized it so if I didn't find him, I would have some part of him to hold on to. But at the same time, I thought of something I had never thought of before. And that was that a list of things. Hi, Jacob. How are you?
Great.
Nice to see you. We're just reading chapter 24. Do you want to join in with us?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the book or are you just listening along?
I'm just listening along.
Lovely.
But I have to go at 3.
No problem. We're right in the middle of it, okay?
Okay.
Okay. There was something I had thought of before. Let me go back 1 second. But at the same time, I thought of something I had never thought of before. And that was that a list of things couldn't even begin to show somebody the real Winn-Dixie. Just like a list of 10 things couldn't ever get me to know my mama. And thinking about that made me cry even more. So Jacob, they're out. Opal and the preacher are out downtown looking for Winn-Dixie because he went missing at the party. So they're traveling all around looking for him. And Opal started to list a bunch of things in her mind in case she had to make posters or remember Winn-Dixie if they didn't find him. Me and the preacher looked for a long time, and finally he said we had to quit. But Daddy, I said, Winn-Dixie's out there somewhere. We can't leave him. Opal, the preacher said, we have looked, and there's only so much looking we can do. I can't believe you're going to give up, I told him. India, Opal, the preacher said, rubbing his nose, don't argue with me. I stood and stared at him. The rain had let up some. It was mostly a drizzle now. It's time to head back, the preacher said. No, I told him. You go ahead and go, but I'm going to keep on looking. Opal, the preacher said in a real soft voice, it's time to give up. You always give up, I shouted. You're always pulling your head inside your stupid old turtle shell. I bet you didn't even go out looking for my mama when she left. I bet you just let her run off too. Baby, the preacher said, I couldn't stop her. I tried. Don't you think I wanted her to stay too? Don't you think I miss her every day? He spread his arms out wide and then dropped them to his sides. I tried, he said. I tried. Then he did something I couldn't believe. He started to cry. The preacher was crying. His shoulders were moving up and down, and he was making snuffly noises. And don't believe that losing Winn-Dixie doesn't upset me as much as it does you, he said. I love that dog. I love him too. Daddy, I said. I went and wrapped my arms around his waist. He was crying so hard he was shaking. It's all right, I told him. It's okay. Shh, I said to him like he was a scared little kid. Everything will be okay. We stood there hugging and rocking back and forth, and after a while, the preacher stopped shaking, and I still held on to him, and I finally got the nerve to ask the question I wanted to ask. Do you think she's ever going to come back? I whispered. No, the preacher said. No, I do not. I've hoped and prayed and dreamed about it for years, but I don't think she'll ever come back. Who are they talking about? Mama, right? Gloria says that you can't hold on to anything, that you can only love what you've got while you've got it. She's right, the preacher said. Gloria Dump is right. I'm not ready to let Winn-Dixie go, I said. I had forgotten about him for a minute, what with thinking about my mama. We'll keep looking, said the preacher. The two of us will keep looking for him. But do you know what? I just realized something, India Opal. When I told you your mama took everything with her, I forgot one thing. One very important thing that she left behind. What? I asked. You, he said. Thank God your mama left me you. And he hugged me tighter. I'm glad I've got you too, I told him. And I meant it. I took hold of his hand and we started walking back into town, calling and whistling for Winn-Dixie the whole way. That was chapter 24. So you guys can unmute yourselves. Chapter 24, 25 is on Monday. See you then. Bye.